I don't forget like last time. But anyways, good morning. Happy Sunday, everybody. Now, it's a little bit different for me going live now as the kids don't want to wake up. Like they're still sleeping. Like it's okay. They're still sleeping and I'm taking advantage of it. I'm gonna go live instead of later. If you're a mom, you know how good it feels. So, yeah, I'm just gonna go now. And if you have any questions, definitely let me know later. And if you're catching me live, hashtag live as well. I'd love to know who's able to join me live this morning. So definitely drop hashtag live in the comments as we talk. We're going to talk a little bit about the things that are keeping your nonprofit stuck and where it is, right? Because a lot of times what's happening is that you may be sabotaging your own fundraising efforts and not even realize it. Hey Gregory, how are you doing? I think it's Gregory. I saw a picture come up, but I'm not sure. So hashtag live so I can know who's here. So definitely you need to pay attention to the actions you're taking and what you're doing as a nonprofit because you may be causing like a rift or a gap in your nonprofit organization's funding and not even understand. So we'll talk about the three things that are keeping your nonprofit and where it is and things that you can do to stop the cycle because nonprofit leaders oftentimes they think, oh, we just need more grants, right? You're thinking funding is going to fix everything, but in reality, it's not. Okay, funding may be just the presenting symptom, but not the root cause of why you're experiencing problem. Because most nonprofits don't experience funding challenges because of lack of money only. Okay, they present as not having financial sustainability because of how they're operating and usually like and how they think about funding. And that's the other thing, because then oftentimes I see nonprofit organization, not all, like especially the ones that are in the cycle of I call it the cycle of poverty, right? Because they're in that cycle because of how their leaders think about money and how they think about funding, right? If your nonprofit isn't growing financially, it's not because the money is not out there, is because you are not shifting your mindset to see money as a tool and to see you as the vehicle that's supposed to be bringing this tool to your nonprofit organization so you can do great things with it. Because let's say you don't even prioritize building genuine relationships and actually making asks because you think building relationship is just building friends or people that are going to idolize you or congratulate you on an event. No, you should be able to build relationships and strategic ones at that support the work that you're doing so you're not always scrambling to like fund an activity that your organization is trying to do. Okay, so today I'm going to break down the three biggest reasons for nonprofit organization that most nonprofit organizations actually stay in the cycle of being broke. Okay, because then that's not where I want you to be. But more importantly, how you can fix these issues, right? So you can start building real financial stability. So definitely tune in. And if you're not familiar with me, my name is Stacy. I am a nonprofit consultant. I help small to mid-sized nonprofit organizations grow their impact and revenue generation potential through strategic planning and capacity building. So wherever you are on the spectrum, capacity building and strategic planning is something that's very important for nonprofit organizations. So if you need a strategic plan for a smaller nonprofit and you need to grow, the best way to start working with me is through a strategic session, which is 90 minutes. And I'm gonna just shameless plug, it's a 90-minute session where we work on a strategy that you can implement within the next 3 to 6 months. And oftentimes it's a strategy that you can repeat to grow your organization and start increasing its revenue generation potential and impact. If you're a larger organization, strategic planning is, as you may know, very important to the health the nonprofit organization in terms of knowing how it's going to sustain itself and its longevity. So having a few months to work on a strategic plan for an organization that it's serious about its growth is definitely worth the investment, and capacity building is always something you want to invest in. And I help nonprofits identify the gaps that are needed within the organization so they can continue to grow or go to the next level they're trying to reach. Now, the three things that I said I was going to talk about, I'm just going to cut right through it before one of the kids busts open the door and start screaming at me. So I want you to realize that you're a nonprofit, or I want you to embody this, that your nonprofit doesn't have a money problem, it has a strategy problem. Once you start realizing that, it's going to be easier for you to take actions that actually matter. Because I want you to consider a few facts. Like 72% of nonprofits say their biggest challenge is financial sustainability, but why is it that nonprofit organizations are not creating or developing a strategy to address this, right? They're addressing the short-term funding issues and not the financial sustainability or viability that exists within the organization. And only 27% of nonprofit leaders say they feel comfortable or feel confident in their funding or their funding strategy. Like they're not confident in it. It's not bringing what it needs to bring, right? Like they put a random goal up in January thinking, oh, okay, like it's gonna go, I'm just gonna host this event, but really no strategy or intention or action behind it to ensure that this strategy is actually bearing fruit, right? The average first-time donor retention rate is only 19%. Like I'm throwing all these facts at you just to show you like there's a huge gap here, and I need you to start working towards fixing and closing these gaps so your organization can actually be on the right track. Now, nonprofits are not only having a hard time because there's no money or they think there's no money, they're having a hard time because they have not built a real funding system. They have not built a real strategy that helps their organization bringing the funding that they need. Because one thing I want you to understand is that money follows strategy. If your nonprofit isn't generating consistent revenue, there's a strategic problem at the end of the day. Okay. And there's like this whole problem is at play here, and you need to come to terms and actually start fixing it, because the the things that your nonprofit is experiencing, the issues that it is experiencing right now, it's not because money is not out there. Like I kid you not, there is money out there. There's still people buying $500,000, $1 million, $2 million homes. There are people still buying like these random or not random, these like name brand bags and stuff like that. The money is out there. It's how people decide to invest it. So you need a funding strategy so you can start having conversations and building strategic relationships that actually can help you tap into the funding that's out there that can support the mission and vision of your nonprofit organization. So the three biggest mistakes that can keep a nonprofit in that realm where funding is a constant problem. The first mistake is depending on too much grants and one-time donations. Like grants takes time to apply, takes time to get how do you call it, a response from the funders. And one-time donations, that's it, one time and done. Like that's a big mistake for your nonprofit to be like depending on those. Now let's say you got a $200,000 grant, and now like you're like, oh yeah, we got 200,000, we got six figures. Listen, you better get those rose-colored glasses off your eyes very quick, because when that money runs out, then it's a whole cycle again. So your funding strategy needs to ensure that it's bringing consistent revenue so you can continue growing. 200,000 is just the tip of the iceberg. There needs to be consistent work that's occurring regardless of the funding that you receive or whatever is supporting your organization at the time. Because you can't be treating fundraising like slaughtery. Like, oh, I won, we won. Now we can hire and pay one or two people. What happens when the money runs out, right? What happens if there's an issue like the funding freeze that just happened? Like, I don't know why you're not taking your lesson from this. Okay, like the policy changes or the funding freezes, these are lessons for you to move, for you to budge. Because you can, like nonprofits, the issue I'm seeing, they apply for grants, pray for approval, and repeat. They apply for grants, pray for approval, and repeat. They hire a grant writer, apply for the grants, pray for approval, and sometimes don't repeat, but they blame the grant writer. So it's like a constant cycle. You keep putting yourself in the same positions, and it's not doing your nonprofit organization like any good. So, and the other thing that happens, you're asking for donations once a year and hope that people want to come back the next year and give again. Like, grants and one-time donations are not a sustainable revenue model. Like, I don't know how many times I need to say this, but it is something that nonprofits need to hear. It is not a sustainable revenue model, and you need to step away from it. Okay. Because then if you do not do that, then what's happening is your nonprofit is just having a hard time, like making things make sense. So I want you to really like come to terms with how you're approaching fundraising and not sabotaging the nonprofit you're leading by taking actions that don't make sense. Now, I that's the one thing I want to drop here. Like that's the first mistake. Let me drop something here. All right. So I just dropped a post on LinkedIn because I forgot to let people know on LinkedIn that I'm live here. So if your nonprofit finds itself relying on unstable and unpredictable funding, you will always be in survival mode. You'll always be in a situation where you are asking, where you feel like you're begging because that's not a strategy that you had where you were generating consistent revenue. Now, I said I would talk about things that you can do to fix it and why it's important. Now, one thing I will say is that you need to start building recurring revenue streams, whether you like it or not. Okay. Like monthly donor programs and membership-based contributions. They are one model that you can adopt. However you want to do that, I don't know, because right now we don't have that relationship right now to kind of discuss the things that you need to do to build a recurring revenue stream or what would work best for your organization. You can definitely schedule a strategy session so we can work on that and develop that for your organization. Now, the other thing that you could do is developing an earn income strategy, right? Such as offering a training for a cost, right? Consulting or digital resources. All these things are earn income strategies that you can implement within your organization. So, and the other thing you can do is learn how to package the impact your nonprofit is making in a way that attracts long-term funders. Like it's all about marketing the impact that you're doing because remember, you are a business. You're just a business that has a tax exempt status. So the way you need to operate is selling your impact because at the end of the day, it's still a sales job. Okay. Like as the nonprofit leader, you're still engaged in a sales job. You just have to package your nonprofit's impact instead of service in a way that's going to attract long-term funders. So if that's something you want to learn how to do, I'm having a free virtual masterclass on March 14th at 3:30 Pacific time. And I'm inviting you to register for this class. The link, I'm going to put the link in the comments right now before I forget, because then if I don't do it right now, I know I'm going to forget because it's just a matter of time. I kid you not that these children come here for the 3/14. If you're on Facebook, it's going to be on Facebook. So the masterclass is called Build a Sustainable and Impactful Nonprofit Organization. The link is going to be in the comments and on Facebook. And if you're watching anywhere else, click the link in my bio. It's on my Stand store right now, and it's going to go down a few hours before the masterclass. Make sure you register, because then what happens when you register? You will come to the masterclass. I will share this information with you. And if you're not able to attend, you are going to receive the recording. If you're not registered, you're not going to get the recording. So make sure you register even if you cannot attend, okay? So, because then you're going to learn why it's important to build funding systems that work, and how you can do that. So check the link in the comments or my bio to register. Now, mistake number two that I see nonprofits making is that not most nonprofit leaders are operating like volunteers and not CEOs of the organization. Because one thing I want you to understand when you're leading a nonprofit, you are a CEO, right? You cannot be resisting structure and avoid financial planning and assume that your good intentions are enough, because that alone is not going to attract money or funding the way that you want. You need to actually be doing work that is going to attract the funding that your organization needs, right? So the thing that I'm seeing that you need to correct is that too many nonprofits are functioning like a lot of nonprofits need to function more like businesses and attract more funding. That's one thing I see nonprofits need to like focus on. And the most successful nonprofits have a CEO mindset. Like they have clear financial goals and growth strategy. And if something does not align or a partnership does not align with their goal, they're okay saying no and moving on. So you need to be very clear about your intentions and the goals and where your organization is going. And they're not just fundraising, they're actually building long-term relationships with funders who invest in their mission, because you need to start building these long-term relationships with funders that understand what your mission is and have like a similar mission as you and want to move with you. Because if your nonprofit is always scrambling for money, it's time for you to rethink, you and your team to rethink the approach that you've been taking. Now, one thing I can say that you can do if that's something you want to explore, there's a product on my Stand store called the Nonprofit Revenue Expansion Blueprint. It walks you through how to build diversified revenue streams, and you get like a lot of templates, like email templates, social media templates for storytelling. It's only $27 now, but the price is going to go up next week because that was the introductory price. The actual price is $97 because all of these templates, like take it or leave it, because I'm giving you the game and I'm telling you what you can do. Now, I'm going to put the link for the Nonprofit Revenue Expansion Blueprint in the comments shortly. I know I have it somewhere. Let me get that. So I'm going to put the link for that in the comments if you're watching on Facebook. So if you're watching on Facebook, the link's going to be in the comments for that. Now, for the Nonprofit Revenue Expansion Blueprint, you get the tools to start building a diversified revenue stream. So definitely do not sleep on that. And mistake number three that I want to bring up before we bring this to a close is make sure the link works, because then this doesn't look like the right link. Nope, it's not the right link. I'm gonna fix that. Give me a second, everybody. Let me fix that before I forget, because then I do not want to forget. Yeah, if you're here, definitely hashtag live. Let me know you're here. If you're catching the replay, hashtag replay. I would love to know who was able to catch this, and if you learn anything, or if there's anything you would like to learn a little bit more of. Copy URL. Okay. That's weird. There we go. The link works now. So yeah, mistake number three, the last mistake before I start closing. Hey, Nika, how are you doing? So the last mistake is failing to prioritize visibility and messaging. Now, you may have heard me talking like a lot about visibility and messaging. The reason for that is because if you are not visible, then funders cannot support you, right? They do not know your exist. Donors do not know your exist. And there's another thing: with visibility comes trust. With engagement comes trust. With the right messaging comes comprehension. So, and not only that comes trust. So visibility, messaging, and engagement, they're all things that you need to start prioritizing, because these are things that are going to help support what your nonprofit organization is doing. Mika, that's good to hear. Thank you for asking for me too. I'm doing well. Thank you. So I'm gonna need you to settle yourself down and understand that your nonprofit organization, if it's not prioritizing visibility, messaging, and outreach, you are doing yourself and your nonprofit a disservice. Because whether you like it or not, communication, engagement, is the foundation to building relationships, and you need to be able to prioritize these things because they're going to put your nonprofit on another level. Because like when you start having a plan and you're prioritizing these things, what's happening is that now like donors or stakeholders, potential partners, potential funders, they actually see your organization, they see the work that you're doing. So when you make that ask in a relationship, they're less likely to resist. There might still be some resistance or no's, but that's okay. But there's going to be a level of respect there that didn't exist because they understand the work that you do and they understand what your organization does and where it's trying to go. Because it can be, no, I don't think our mission aligns with your work, but like we appreciate and we support, is there any other way I can support? Yes, share this event with your audience, whatever it is. You need to start being visible, like working on your messaging, working on your outreach, working on your relationships. Because if you're thinking if we do great work, the funding will come, like that is the most wrong statement that you can have when it comes to your nonprofit organization, because a lot of people don't care about the work that you're doing. Like, I'm sorry to say, a lot of people don't care. Thank you so much, Mika. I appreciate you. Where are my glasses? Yeah, like I really want you to understand a lot of people don't care about the work that you're doing. You care more about the work that you're doing than these people do. So I need you to start positioning in yourself, like your nonprofit, in a way to make these people care. Make these people understand that the work that you're doing is invaluable to the community that you're serving, that it's invaluable to everything that you do for the like for the community. Because if people don't know about your nonprofit, remember, if they don't know about your nonprofit, they cannot fund your nonprofit. If donors do not understand your mission in 10 seconds or less, they will give to someone else. So you need to like come to terms that just doing great work is not going to matter. Like just doing great work does not make a difference because people don't care. People would rather go home and watch like what's that show called? I watched that show like 5, 6 times. Bridgerton. They rather go home, go on Netflix and watch Bridgerton for the sixth or seventh time. Okay. They don't care about your mission. They don't care about the work that you do because that is not their problem. People, like, I need you to realize people are selfish. Okay. You need to give them a reason to care. Like, that is a general statement, but really it's true. We all want to do what we want to do unless somebody catches our attention, because attention is the most expensive currency right now. Because if you can catch the attention or keep the attention of someone for more than 5 seconds, that means a lot. Like, there's a reason I am so grateful when people come here and actually stay with me, because it's not easy to like catch the attention of anyone these days, because people are such in a rush to do XYZ or to be busy, because people like are addicted to being busy and addicted to doing nothing. They're addicted to chaos. So catching the attention of anyone, your donors, your partners, your funders, is very important. And I'm going to need you to prioritize the visibility aspect, the messaging aspect, because your job, especially if you do not have a lot of funding and you're using social media, start working on your messaging and visibility. Start working on these stories, because you need to be working on these things to capture the attention and call people to action. Because if you're not doing that, then you're leaving so much on the table and you're doing your organization a disservice. Because let me see. Organize, do good work, and be visible and organize again. Listen, Mika, visible all the time and building these relationships, like organize, yes. And organizing, you do have to build relationships. You do have to get people like to get to the same level as people and meet people where they are. So organize, do good work, be visible, and not like be able to share stories, like impactful stories, and be very transparent so people can see the work that you do. Like, do not be like the SPCA. I don't know if you remember them commercials on TV, like these dogs telling you, oh, please donate to the dogs. And they put like dogs that look like they're having a hard time and they're gonna get unalive soon. Please do not put that. Like, share like impactful stories of the work that you do and the value of the work that you do. If the work that you do or these stories like they impede on somebody's liberties and stuff like that, or people do not want their story shared, paraphrase and be careful not to release any identifying information. Do not put the person's name. Like, you can do this in a way that does not make somebody embarrassed. You can share the story and be very general about it. Listen, we helped a woman in 2024 and she was going through a very hard time. Like, share a general story. Hey, Ricky. Hey, Tiana. Tiana, I think that was you. So, hey, share these stories in a way that is dignified, and you are also getting people to understand and see the impact that you are making. Because if you want your nonprofit organization to be successful, you need to start prioritizing how visible you are, your messaging, and how you're sharing impact updates to position yourself in a way, or in your nonprofit in a way that people want to fund, that people give 2 cents about, because I need you to stop hiding and start showing up. Because at the end of the day, visibility is going to equal funding, right? You need to use social media, you need to use emails, you need to start building and using relationships to stay in front of your audience. You need to learn how to clearly communicate your nonprofit to impact in one sentence. So if somebody asks you, what does your nonprofit do? You're not going like a million, like, you're not trying to say so much to say nothing. What I mean by that, I meet too many people where I ask them, what do they do? They lose me after the third sentence because they still have not answered my question, because they're trying to process what they do and trying to process how to say it. And they never really practice that elevator pitch. They don't know what to say. So not everybody is going to calm their brain down to actually focus and listen. So you need to practice that one sentence that clearly communicates your nonprofit's impact. Okay. So if that's something you haven't done yet, I need you to go do that. Go practice in front of the mirror. Like, you have no idea how many times I look at myself in the mirror and talk to myself. Like, nothing's wrong with that. So go in front of the mirror and practice that one sentence that clearly communicates your nonprofit's impact, because you need to start doing that to ensure that when you go anywhere, that people can understand exactly what your nonprofit organization does. Because if you're the only one in your head that comprehends the purpose of your organization and the vision of your organization, that's exactly why you have a messaging problem. That's exactly why you have a problem building relationships, because you did not focus on working on the things, or the one thing that actually matters. It's clearly communicating your nonprofit's impact. So at the end of the day, your nonprofit does not need more hope. Okay. It needs to start building a scalable funding strategy, because if you need a scalable funding strategy if you're trying to become sustainable. Because if you want to stop struggling, I don't like that word. So you want to get off the struggle bus, right? If you want to stop having those challenges that your nonprofit is consistently experiencing, like applying for a grant, like crossing your fingers and toes and just praying that it gets approved, and you actually want to start growing without having to have that stress in your life, you can't afford to miss the masterclass that's coming up on Friday. The Build a Sustainable and Impactful Nonprofit Organization. That's going to be a free virtual masterclass that's happening on March 14th at 3:30 p.m. Pacific. And I'm inviting you to register for that, because in that masterclass, we're going to talk about why it's important to build a sustainable revenue model, and actually how to build a sustainable and impactful nonprofit organization in this day and age. Because I've said this, I've been saying this since January. You are only one policy change away and one grant rejection away from having to close your doors, and you don't need that heat. You don't need these kind of problems. So I need you to actually focus on the work that you need because your nonprofit actually deserves financial stability and it deserves like some type of sustainability and longevity because the work that you do is so valuable. I've met so many leaders out there when they tell me about the work that they do, I'm like in awe because there I know so many people that need that. I used to be a teacher at a Title I school. I don't talk about that time in my life because that seems like a long time. But there's so many families that need the work that nonprofits do. I've met so many people that need the support, the services, the programs offered by nonprofit organizations, but the nonprofit organizations are failing these people because the leaders are not doing the work that they need to do to ensure that the nonprofit keeps their doors open. Like, I kid you not. You need to take it seriously. It's not only about your nonprofit organization, you're also failing other people that you're serving. So that's it. That's all I have for today. Register for the masterclass. I am going to the link is in the comments. Yes, I did put the link in the comments if you're on Facebook. If you're watching anywhere else, click on my Stand Store. The link is on my Stand Store. Register for that. There is an application process because one thing about this masterclass, it may be free, but I only want people that are serious about the work that they're doing because they understand it was ordained for them to do this work to join this masterclass. Now, if that's you, definitely check the link in the bio or in the comments to register. And I'm gonna go. It's Sunday. Let me see what these kids are doing because they still have not come in this room to ask me for their electronics. So that is concerning. So anyways, have an amazing day. Drop any questions you have in the chat. And thank you to everybody that was able to join me live. Bye, y'all.